Hello students, myself Pinky Singh, Assistant Professor of IMS Law College, and today I'll tell you about the National Commission for Women. This particular commission is specifically established for the women, and like it is said that the best way to know about society, a civilization and a culture, try to know as much possible about the woman. So, the main intention for the establishment of the National Commission for Women was to ensure equal livelihood for women by making constitutional amendments and laws that favor them. The commission was formed to prevent any kind of violence or exploitation against women. Women are vulnerable and the problems faced by them are numerous, and such a commission was established to resolve such issues concerning their rights. It is the state necessity to set up such commission to address the grievances of women in the country. So now we will start with the introduction. As such, women as a class neither belong to a minority group nor are they regarded as a backward class. India has traditionally a patriarchal society, and therefore women have always suffered from social handicaps and disabilities. It is thus became necessary to take certain ameliorative steps in order to improve the condition of women in the traditionally male dominated society. And our constitution does not contain any provision specifically made to favor women as such, though article 15 subclause 3, article 21 and article 14 are in favor of women. They are more general in nature and provide for making any special provisions for women, while they are not in themselves such provisions. So the Supreme Court, through the interpretive processes, has tried to extend some safeguards to women. Uh, like, but these all these things which Supreme Court had done or still Supreme Court was doing, these have hardly sufficed to improve the position of women in India, and the lack of constitutional machinery, judicial ability, and social interest form the impetus and need for the formation of the National Commission for Women. It is apparent from the prior mentioned conditions and problems that women in India, though in a better position than their ancestors, were handicapped to a great extent in the early 1990s, and these handicaps and injustice against Indian women prompted the Indian government to constitute the first National Commission for Women in 1992. So, thus, in light of these conditions, the Committee on the Status of Women, as well as number of NGOs, social workers, and experts who are consulted by the government in 1990, recommend the establishment of an apex body for women. Now, about the history. So, the Committee on the Status of Women in India made suggestions 20 years ago, and this CSWI committee, this qualified the vital for working to make a platform for grievances redressal. It increases the growth in the social economic sphere of women development. After this, the successive commission in 1988 to 2000, this is the National Prospective Plan for Women, made certain recommendations for the formulation of the authoritative apex entity for governing the rights of women. So, in the advent of 1990, the central government, in consultation with non-governmental organizations, formulated and made the structure, powers, and working of the commission as the proposal was formed. So, in May, in that year, in 1990, the bill came before the Lok Sabha, and in July, the Ministry of HRD formed the national level conference to discuss the pointers made in the bill, which were introduced. And in August, the government made a lot of amendments after the discussion and made new provisions on the commission. And this bill was passed and received the assent of the President on 30th August 1990. The first commission was formed on 31st January 1992, and this commission was presided by Mrs. Jayanti Patnaik, as the chairperson. And after that, second commission was formed in July 1995, and this commission was headed by Dr. Mohini Giri. And third commission was in January 1999, and it was under Mrs. Vibha Parasharthi. After that, fourth and fifth commission was presided by Dr. Purnima Advani in 2002 and Dr. Girija Vyas in 2005 respectively. So this was followed by a chain of successful meetings and emancipation on the rights of women. Now, what is National Commission for Women? So basically, the National Commission for Women, it was formed in 1992 under the National Commission Act 1990, and it is a commission having the authority to revive constitutional safeguards for women in the country. So the main recommendation of the commission is to facilitate redressal mechanism and also to take legislative measures to curb the disparity. So basically, it provides the government with advice to make policies and laws that are more prone to protect and safeguard the rights of women. And this commission has also the powers that are vested upon with the civil court. And it presents the annual report before the central government. Apart from this, it submits other reports which it deems to be fit. All such reports are placed before the House of the Parliament along with the memo. So, like in case any recommendation made on the floor of the House is not accepted, the reason for the non-acceptance should be maintained in the memorandum, and the same procedure should be followed at the state level as well. So the principle of gender equality is enshrined in the Indian Constitution, as we all know, and the preamble promotes equality of status and of opportunity. So the fundamental rights enshrined in Part 3rd of the Indian Constitution and directive principles enshrined in Part 4th of the Constitution all promote gender equality. The Constitution not only grants equality to women but has also made special provisions for ensuring equality. Thus, as per the recommendation of CSWI and in order to uphold the mandate of the Constitution, this National Commission for Women, this was constituted in January 1992, and it was set up as a statutory body under the National Commission for Women Act 1990 to carry out the mandate set by the Act as well as the CSWI. Now next, what is the importance of this commission? So like women as an entity neither belong to a minority group nor they are considered as a backward class. India from its inception has been a patriarchal society. Therefore, women has always been subdued in society. Thus, it became necessary to need certain strategic steps to enhance and improve the condition or status of women under male-dominated society. So, like Indian Constitution does not contain any provision specifically made to favor the women. Like Article 15, subclause 3, Article 21 and 14, they protect and safeguard the women, and they are more the gender neutral. And Supreme Court has taken vital measures for protecting the rights of women. So, Supreme Court through interpretive processes has tried to extend some safeguards to women through the judgments in cases such as Bodhisattva Gautam versus Subra Chakravarti, Chairman Railway Board versus Chandrima Das, where rape was declared as a heinous crime, as well as the landmark judgment in Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan. So the court have tried to improve the social conditions of Indian women, but these have hardly sufficed to improve the position of women in India. And in the light of these conditions, the Committee on the Status of Women as well as number of NGO, social workers, experts who were consulted by the government in 1990 recommend the establishment of the apex body for women. Now, what are the objectives? So, the notable objectives of the National Commission for Women are that they prepared gender profiles. Then they took initiative into the creation of the Parivarik Mahila Lok Adalat to take proactive steps regarding the rights of women. They evaluated and reviewed laws concerning Indian Penal Code, Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act 1994, the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, and so on. to take more effective actions against violation under the National Commission for Women Act 1990. Set up and organize awareness workshop and consultation outlets. So these are some objectives, and apart from them there are other objectives of National Commission for Women are as follows, like to suggest the government regarding policies regarding women, a platform to redress the grievances, to make recommendations relating to legislation measures, to review the legal and constitutional safeguards for women. Now, what are the powers in working of the commission? Like if I'm talking about the working, so it acts as a statutory body and takes measures to safeguard and protect women. It works under the National Commission for Women Act 1990. It derives the vital guidelines from the commission to make recommendations and suggestions to make strategic plans for the well-being of women and their rights. And powers of commission, it provide consultation on all major policies matter that affect women, issuing summons for the examination of documents and the witnesses. It has the power to make any public record, receiving evidence on affidavit, discovery and production of documents, summoning and enforcement. So basically, when we talks about the power of this National Commission of Women, then this commission has the power of a civil court. Now we will move on the composition. So the commission consists of a chairperson, a member secretary, and five other members. The chairperson of the National Commission for Women is nominated by the central government, and central government also nominates the member secretary. The member secretary should be an expert in the field of management. So he or she is an officer or organization who is a member. So the five members, they are nominated by the central government, should be individuals with ability, standing and integrity. They should have experience in law, legislation, management, women voluntary organization, economic, social development and so on. So like this National Commission for Women Act 1990, this was constituted the National Commission for Women as a statutory body, and the first commission was constituted on 31st January 1992, as I already told you. And the Act of 1990, under section 3, it provides for the constitution of the commission. This section lays down that the commission will consist of one chairperson who is committed to the cause of women, five members from various fields, and a member secretary who shall be an expert in the fields of management, organizational structure, sociological movement, or a member of the civil service of the union. So all the members of the commission, they are nominated by the central government, and each person holds office for a period of 5 years or till they attain the age of 70. At least one member each of the commission must belong to a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. In addition to the above mentioned members of the commission has the power to set up committees with members from outside the commission. So this is the composition of the National Commission for Women. Next, we will move on the functions. So the functions of the National Commission for Women are challenging, and it requires effective implementation. It works with the regulating agency to resolve complaints that are received. This is mainly for Indian women who are abandoned by their husbands in foreign countries. So the functions are like the presentation of reports, investigation, examination, review, causes of violence, suo motu notice, evaluation, recommendation, spatial studies and investigation, participation in all spheres, particularly in planning, funding and reporting. So like when we talk about the functions, like the report should be submitted to the central government every year, and when the commission feels it appropriate, so the report upon the functioning and working of the safeguards. And there should be proper investigation and examination made under the constitution and other laws, and this is related to the protection of the rights of women. And constantly all laws are reviewed and scrutinized, and necessary amendments and alteration are made to meet the needs of the current world. This is to meet any break This is to need any break, incapacity, or any inadequacies in the legislation. Ensure there is no violation against women and taking due care of such cases. Suo motu notice, it takes care of complaint and also suo motu matters about the deprivation of rights of women, and assessing the development and the progress of the women community under the central and state level to suggest the well-being of women and their rights, to understand the limitations in the system and curb it with strategic plans and mechanisms, to make research and study to understand the needs of women, healthcare, and such related components. This is to make a proper support system to help the women in need, and the functions other functions also, like to take measures to facilitate economic and social development and improvement of women by recognizing their rights, and inspect the jail, remand home to ensure that the women staying here are not exploited as they are vulnerable. And they also ensure that there is a fund for litigation of matters relating to women rights, and there should be periodical reports made under the difficulties faced by women daily. Now we will move on the mandate of the commission. So basically, section 10 subclause 1 of the Act of 1990, it provides a 14 mandate for the National Commission for Women. A journal overview of the mandate has been provided and a few significant clauses have been discussed. Broadly speaking, the Commission's mandate can be divided under 4 heads: safeguard of rights of women guaranteed by the constitution and laws. Second, the study problems faced by women in the current day and make recommendations to eradicate these problems. Third one, evaluating the status of Indian women from time to time. And fourth one is funding and fighting cases related to women's rights violation. So basically, when we talks about the safeguard rights of women, these are mentioned in sub clauses A to E of section 10, subclause 1, and they expect the commission to examine the safeguards for women provided by the law and the constitution. And commission is to submit reports about these safeguard and make recommendations about the implementation of the same. And this commission is also expected to review these safeguards periodically to identify and remedy any lacuna or any inadequacies. And this commission is also empowered to take up cases involving the violation of the cases. So mainly when we talks about the second point, study of problems faced by the women. So according to the particular this commission is to carry out the studies involving the problems arising out of discrimination against women and provide remedies for this problem. As per this part of the mandate, the commission is also expected to advise the government about the socio-economic development of the women based on these studies. Third one is the evaluating status of women, Indian women. So the commission, according to the guidelines, they has the responsibilities of the evaluating the status of Indian women under the union government and the state governments, and it is to inspect and evaluate the conditions of the detention homes and other such facilities. Other such facilities in which women may be detained, and deal with the appropriate authorities in order to improve the condition of such places. These evaluations are to be submitted to the government through periodic reports and recommendations. So fighting cases related to women's rights violation. Last one, certain clauses in the mandate also empower the commission to take up as cases related to discrimination of women. So basically the women's right violation and funded cases which involve the rights of a large number of women. And section 3 of the Act 1990 empowers the commission to take suo motu notice of matters relating to women's right deprivation, non-implementation of laws enacted to protect women, and non-compliance of policies and guidelines for mitigating hardships of women. In such matters, the commission is empowered to approach the appropriate authorities and seek remedies. Now next we will move on the achievements of the commission. So, the complaints and the counseling cell of the commission is perhaps the most successful organ of the organization. And this was done by so many cases time to time. And besides these achievements, the legal cell of the commission has proposed amendments to a number of acts and has proposed a number of new bills. Like this commission has proposed amendment to the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, and the Indian Penal Code of 1860. The Commission has also proposed bills such as Marriage Bill of 1994, Domestic Violence to Women Prevention Bill of 1994, and some of these bills such as Domestic Violence to Women Prevention Bill have recently been passed in 2005. The Commission has also intervened in a number of court cases. These have been mentioned in so many cases, and I already told you in beginning of the slides, Bodhisattva Gautam, Vishakha's case, and a number of inquiry commissions have also been established by the commission under section 8 subclause 1 of the Act of 1990 to look into matters such as law and legislation, political empowerment, custodial justice for women, social security, panchayati raj, women in media, development of scheduled tribe women, development of women of weaker sections, development of women of minority communities, transfer of technology in agriculture for development of women. So, among other highlights are included the anti-child marriage agitations in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh. So, public hearings on problems of Muslim women, impact of globalization of women, on land-related problems, economic empowerment of tribal women have been successfully organized by have been organized by the Commission all over the country. And within a short span of a period, this commission has fulfilled and managed to fulfill most of the responsibilities as laid down in its mandate. The different public hearings, outreach programs, counseling, and legal functions have definitely improved the conditions of the Indian women. But apart from the achievement of the commission, there are some shortcomings also, like this commission has no concrete legislative powers. It has only the powers to recommend amendments and submit the reports, which are not binding on state or union government. And this commission does not have the power to select its own member. This power is vested with the union government. And this is next, the shortcomings. I already told you about the shortcomings. Like, it does not have the power to select own members. The power is vested with the union government and has no right to concrete legislative powers. I'm saying that the commission jurisdiction is not operative in Jammu and Kashmir, and considering the present political unrest and human rights violation in the region, the commission's presence there is vital. So, the National Commission for Women in India seizes women's cause only when it is brought to light. Unreported cases of oppression and suppression of women are not attended to. In rural sector, still there is lack of awareness, education, opportunities, and basic facilities for women for economic of empowerment. I would like to give some suggestions. Like, this commission must be granted the power of select its own member, and the more power is given to the commission, and there should be more public awareness and participation for the women oppression. So make the work of the National Commission for Women justifiable, and the fair person should be appointed in the commission, and that they have having a knowledge of law and understand to society and human behavior. And this National Commission for Women have been appointed to a person to the district level, and a number of programs and policies were launched for the purpose, and they have successful effect in empowering women socially and economically. Now, after that, now we will conclude this topic. So the commission must be granted the facility of choosing its member, and the members should be chosen with no prejudice and will have a good knowledge of law and understand the society and human behavior. There is a need for an increase of awareness and enlightenment, especially required among uneducated women, mainly in the rural areas, that such a commission exists to address their rights. There should be a good network of individuals employed to reach out and help women who are vulnerable and prone to exploitation. Like, it may be said that in a short period, this commission has managed to fulfill the mandate, and if not completely, then to a great extent. We are not saying that this commission has managed to a particular mark. No, there is no doubt about the effectiveness of the commission and about the good work which it is doing for the women of India. However, there are certain shortcomings in the working of the commission, which, if rectified, would lead to a more efficient and productive commission. The framework is done by the implementation is questionable. Only through joint efforts all and creating awareness we can bridge this gap. So the National Commission for Women is committed to the protection of rights of women in the country and to welfare and development. And to attain these aims, the Commission organized countrywide campaigns, workshop and consultation. So this is all for the National Commission of Women. Thank you, students, for listening me. Thank you.